a last match this afternoon. So it looks like it's going to be an out-turn handle coming down, draw weight, and now the sweepers are making judgments here. They're coming down, so it has to touch the 4 foot to really have to basically be able to score. It doesn't have to be fully in the 4 foot, but it has to touch, and it looks like it's going to be doing that. That's a very fine touch there. And looks like it sets. And so, after 2 ends, it is Rochester 3, Ardsley 1. The cowbell tells you that the fans are enjoying this match, and we will be right back after a very short break. Welcome back to the Rochester Curling Club, Rochester, New York, the final day, the 2020 GNCC Mixed Playdowns. With Wayne Anderson, I am Bill Drumright. We are now in the third end. The score is Rochester 3, Ardsley 1. First stone for the lead, Susan Dutt from Ardsley. Right-hand shooter applying an in-turn handle. Looks like you're trying to set up for a center guard. It's a light one here, so the guard might be higher than they'd like. If they were looking for a low guard, it's roughly about midway between the hog line and the top of the 12-foot here. So that's the first stone. Now the first stone of the third end for the Rochester lead, Jason Scott. And he's coming right-hand shooter with an out-turn handle. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays. Sometimes with the Rochester ice, and it tends to finish on light guard weight, and that's when it can easily rub into a guard. Getting around the guard can be difficult, but they're very much working it here. And it didn't split it too wide. You have basically a port created between the Ardsley Rock and the Rochester Rock. Now we have the second and the third end for the Ardsley lead, Susan Dutt. And in a situation like this, Wayne, early on, when you don't have hammer, what might he be trying to do?
Well, I'm not surprised at all he put up a centerline guard, of course. I mean, even in club curling, that's what you're going to see. But that's what you want to see here as well. The fact that it's a two guard, I think he's coming around here at this point in time. Later on, you really would hope you don't want a two guard that's going in. Now, you mentioned that the Ardsley rink. In fairness to my home club of Philadelphia, Susan curls out of Philadelphia. Danny's got a real mixed bag. He, of course, is from Ardsley, but he's got Sidney Mullaney from Broomstones, and then Eli Clausen is from Potomac. So it's 4 GNCC clubs come together here, but these kids have known each other almost all their whole curling lives.
Well, the 4 put together a very wonderful shot there because Ardsley is setting shot rock. They're basically on the 1 foot just above the tee line to the left of the center line as from the shooter's perspective. Second stone now for Jason Scott of Rochester, the lead. Again, Rochester's leading 3-1. Rochester has to win to force the last match this afternoon. If Ardsley wins, Ardsley will win the playdowns, and they will be representing the GNCC at the USCA Mixed National Championships scheduled for March 28th to April 4th in Chaska, Minnesota. Stone is coming in, and it's going to be in the 4 foot. So at this point, Ardsley is setting 1, Rochester setting 2, and both sides are very much showing their approval. Okay, so now we have the first stone of the third end for Ardsley's second, Eli Clausen. Now is setting up there, it looks like, for an out-turn handle. He could be looking here for like trying to freeze onto the Rochester.
Yeah, I think with that much ice, it has to be a freeze. I think he may have indicated just a slight tap, but it's a draw shot. I'm hoping that almost regardless of what Eli does here, that we're going to see that red guard removed by opposition on the next shot.
Here it comes on down. It looks like it's a good line here. It's going to get by the Rochester guard. It's coming on in. They're sweeping very hard here. It's going to look like it's going to take it to the inside, and it does with a little tap. And so right now Ardsley is setting 2, Rochester setting 3. This is the first stone of the third end for the Rochester second, Emily Anderson Pinelli. We must keep the father-in-law and the husband happy. Okay, there's an out-turn, definitely a takeout weight there, looking to remove the guard and split. And looks like it's going to do just that. So it opens it up. The right side is open from the shooter's perspective. Now we have the second stone of the third end for the Ardsley second, Eli Clausen. And right now it looks like, at this point, depending on what happens, Ardsley looks like they're in a decent place.
Yeah, their challenge is they know that Caitlin is just going to keep pounding those guards, hoping to get 2 off with one shot. That was the attempt last time. They were hoping to slash through and get both guards disappear. It would have been really nice if she had called that and the blue had gone into the red. The blue may have well have gone right into the red. That would have been a bonus. But you're going to see one team totally guarding and then most important thing is don't let the other team steal.
So right now, that's a very fine guard there. It looks like definitely, and it looks like then now it looks like there could be an option here of a possible double takeout. This is the second for the Rochester second, Emily Anderson Pinelli. Yes, we have a boisterous crowd. They very much like to ring the bell. Okay, she's coming down with an out-turn handle here. Could she split out both? There might be the possibility here. Certainly going to get one. It looks like she got both. Got the one Ardsley rock, pushed the second one over to the left, but now the Rochester stone is up higher near the center line. Now we have the first stone of the third end for Ardsley's third, Sydney Mullaney. And given where Danny Casper, the skip, might be setting up here, looks like it's pretty much going to be a draw weight here. He's setting up for that type of play.
Yeah, that's true. And the good thing for the pulley rink is that removing both of those red guards, at least now the rock out front is a blue rock and their own rock. So they can try a run back on the next one. And if it hits on the nose, really good things are going to happen. If it peels off.
Coming out here, I'm sorry, coming out there, really having to sweep hard here. They look like they're going to get it over, and they're really doing some very hard sweeping there, some phenomenal sweeping, because that stone didn't have much promise there, but that's one of the reasons why great sweeping really matters.
Oh, it does. They got it there. If they didn't get it there, there might have been a hole to go through, and all of a sudden you see the red rocks disappear. Caitlin, again, hoping to get 2 rocks, guards disappearing here. Again, this time though it'll be a red rock.
This is the first stone for Rochester's third, Jeff Pulley in the third end. Looks like he's going to be smacking on the red stone. His rolls, goes by, just misses, but the right side is open now, again. So again, the play of putting up a guard, removing a guard. Putting up a guard, removing a guard. Now we've got the second stone of the third end for Ardsley's third, Sydney Mullaney. An out-turn handle, and given the setup of Danny Casper's position, might be trying to put the guard back up. Coming on down. This one has a little bit more weight on it than her first stone. Sweepers are brushing, but not as vigorously as they were the first time. And the angle is looking pretty good, but will it come over? I'd imagine here you don't want too many gaps, and that one doesn't. That one's going to be closer. In fact, it's coming in to the 12-foot above the tee line, just to the right of the center line. And now this sets up, it looks like it could set up a run back here for the Rochester team, second for Jeff Pulley, using the red stone as the run back.
Yeah, it was trying to slash it in there. And that sweeping, both sweepers, you couldn't probably see it. Eli was actually going backwards. They were both trying to make that rock curl, all right? And this is just not going to get enough of it. Well, he did get it. Good shot. That's a great shot.
So basically, there was a double take out there by Jeff Pulley. He had enough angle to catch the Ardsley second. Ardsley is still shot rock. Rochester now sets 2, and Susan Dutt now is holding the broom for the first stone of the third end for the Ardsley skip, Danny Casper, and I'm looking here from that. Are you looking at some type of guard, or are you looking at more maybe trying to come down a freeze, or if you want a guard, where would you put it?
Well, you're guarding. You try and get it right in front of it, about a 3 guard out there. And again, the scoreboard is indicating that he would hit this. We talked many times that if you don't have hammer, you're trying to force the other team to take 1. Obviously, if he's trying to force to take 1, he has the opportunity to take the blue rock out and lie 2, hit and roll. But the scoreboard says, put the guard on. Let's try and steal here.
He releases a right-hand shooter, out-turn handle, and the sweepers are on it. They're walking with it. They're poised, ready to sweep if need. The angle's coming in. Looks like a good path. The angle's coming in very nicely. And let me ask you this, Wayne. In terms of a guard like this, although it did look like it finished a little bit more to the left, when you're talking about a guard here like this, do you try to favor it a little bit higher or a little bit lower in this situation?
Well, we have very nice curl on the out-turn going this way. We talked about it. There is more swing from right to left when you're going away from the glass here. And the problem with that one is it overcurled enough that Caitlin's now going to take a shot at coming around. This might be her best. If she peeled the guard at this point in time, he'd only put a better one on next time. Lots of times I'd encourage club members to make sure, usually this is the most common thing that happens with guards, is that you're trying to get it perfectly in front. He could have afforded to have been a full rock more to the right. Even if you left the gap of the stone's width, even a couple of inches more, maybe a team would try to go through it, but it's tough. Usually guards tend to overcurl if they miss. Try and keep those guards out there and sweep them at the last minute to come in.
Now, it does look like here that this is going to have to be a controlled takeout weight, because if she hangs out wide, she would end up taking her stone out as well. She has to get around the guard, but she also has to come in with some control. It can't be a full takeout weight. It's an out-turn handle, more of a spinner handle here, and it looks like it might be narrow. This might be narrow here. Jason Scott's on it, so is Emily Anderson-Pinelli, but it's not. It's going to rub, it looks like. Oh, it did get by. It did get by, but now he fell there. Okay, so in this situation, we have a rule situation here. Jason Scott fell. What happens in this situation?
Well, the good thing that Jason did is that he didn't burn the rock that was traveling. So now the non-offending team, all right, Danny Casper's team, gets to put those rocks wherever they think they belong. In the spirit of curling, they try and put them back exactly where they are. But there's no sort. He may ask the other team, do you think this looks right? But bottom line, don't spend a whole lot of time. Team Casper puts those rocks where he thinks they go back.
But now Pulley was able to take out the Ardsley rock, and so now Rochester is setting 2. It is open for Casper now. This is his last stone of the third end. Rochester ahead 3-1, and does he have? I mean, in other words, it looks like he has is he basically, his concentration right now, is it basically on the shot rock to try to remove, or in this situation, does he try to freeze into the pocket between them?
Well, he's in a tough spot. That was a great shot that Caitlin just put up there. I don't think he can guess shot, but he does not want to give up more than 2. 2 is acceptable. 3 is rock here. That's
does hit and rolls. It does look like that. Now, Rochester is shot rock. There's that back rock is just touching the 4-foot from the angle we can see here on the camera screen. Ardsley is setting 2. And I see now that obviously it seems like Caitlin Pulley does not want to mess around on that right side. She's going to look to try to draw coming in from the left. So she'd be playing an in-turn handle as a right-hand shooter. If she basically touches the 4-foot, then Rochester will have 2 here. Let me ask a question here. When club members are facing this type of shot, I mean, it's both simple and difficult, it seems.
Well, you want to, a club member would want to avoid any chance of hitting the red rock in for shot, right? So even, but Caitlin Wisely, she's got really those guards in the center line aren't in play. She's got it. She's calling a great shot here. Danny paid a price for, we talked about it, we could have forced her to take one probably and hitting that rock earlier on. Scored it, I agreed with him going for it, but there is a risk when you sort of say, well, we're going to guard and try and do it and leave the opponent's rocks in the house. Good call, and
Caitlin's came up.
Right, Caitlin's came up like that's one of it, like that shot. The other team, you remove the rock, that's one less point they can score, and you're still forcing them to make that shot to get 2. Am I right? Bottom line, he met his goal. He wanted to force them to take 1. That's what he got. He's very happy. Caitlin's very happy that she didn't give up a steal with the lead. She's got her 3-point lead back again. She's happy. So both teams are happy. But, hey, we got the 4th end coming up with only a 3-point lead. Danny gets his deuce in this. We got a 1-point ball game after halfway through the game.
And this is going to be important now. We're coming to the 4th end. This is the end before the break. So we'll be coming back to the house that is nearest the warm room. It is after 3 ends. It is Rochester 4, Ardsley 1. But Ardsley will have hammer. And so there it comes down to can Rochester, in one sense, they would be probably doing good here if they held Ardsley to just 1. That would be a desirable outcome for Rochester. Ardsley certainly is looking to score 2.
That's right. Caitlin's goal, right, definitely. You're up 3 going into the last game before a halftime break. Your goal, force them to take 1. Nothing fancy. I want this rock to be in top 4 right here. Danny may use it to play corner. I'd say, having watched him, I think he would probably just go straight corner, though. The other option, obviously, is to put it tight. If you think they are going to hit, well, I'd still do it if I was Caitlin. Go ahead and hit me. That's all right. I'll hit you back. A lot easier for me to try and get a blank or a force. You'd be happy with either one.
First stone of the 4th end for Jason Scott, Rochester lead. An out-turn handle. It's not going to be reaching the house here, but it looks like it's going to be it's a center line guard about roughly midway, a little bit toward the house. Now the first stone of the 4th end for the Ardsley lead, Susan Dutt, coming with an in-turn handle, right-handed shooter, coming down the left side. And given the weight and that, and if they're going to try to draw in the house and need to get by it, the way the angle's coming, both sweepers really on it hard. Sidney Mulaney first, and now Eli Clausen. They're both on it hard. It's going to rub right by. Did a beautiful job there on sweeping and coming on in, and it's going to be touching the 4-foot there behind the center guard. A very fine shot. Ardsley now setting 1. Second stone now in the 4th end for Rochester lead, Jason Scott. Looked like he's coming down on a similar line using an in-turn handle as right-hand shooter. Now he's coming a little bit wider, it looks like, and it'll be interesting to see what happens now. That weight looks like a little bit more weight. So coming on down, but it is taking the curl. Coming by the TESN.US logo on the ice. Now the sweepers are on it really hard. Sweepers are on it hard. It's not going to reach the shot rock. It comes in and effectively bites the 12-foot, so now it's Ardsley sitting 1, Rochester 2. Second stone now in the 4th end for Susan Dutt, the lead for Ardsley. Setting up again for an in-turn draw, right-hand shooter.
So that first rock not coming in to the house has made this end complicated. All right, Danny loves complicated. He's losing. All right. Caitlin's not happy that it's getting complicated, all because of where the Buckshot ran. It could have been a much cleaner, simpler end, and Caitlin could have been. Now, who knows who's going to end up scoring there? But I can tell you, it's getting complicated for Caitlin, who's trying to just force him to take one and keep it simple.
Because right now, Ardsley is sitting 2. That stone was drawn right to the button there. So now, going by that, Wayne, when you're talking about complication, are we possibly then looking at trying to clear the center here to try to get in, or is he looking to try to get the stone in to the 4 foot and try to cut down the score?
Right now, I would be running my center line guard into my guard on the top 12 into the reds. If I only get rid of one, fine. I want to simplify this thing so I can double those suckers out as soon as I can.
So the thing is, the fewer stones in the house, the more simpler this gets. But the stone is coming, and it's coming hard. This stone probably is going to be swept out. That was the first for Emily Anderson Pinelli, and it's swept out here. So now, Casper Rink from Ardsley, they definitely have a good situation. This is the first stone of the 4th end. For the second for Ardsley, Eli Clausen. Again, applying an in-turn draw, right-hand shooter. And if they can get one down there, it's going to make it very complicated for Pulley.
Yeah, and someone might say, "Oh, only 4 rocks have been played. You can't cure a guard on 5 rock rule." No, the rule is you can't remove an opponent's rock from play, right, Bill? You know that, but maybe not all of our listeners know. You can remove your own guards out there, and it's done lots of times, and that would have been a good time to have done it, I think. It's just getting way too complicated without hammer here.
Now, basically, Clausen's stone comes into the 12 foot. Ardsley's setting 3, but now it looks like now for Emily Anderson Pinelli, her second stone of the 4th end. Rochester is leading 3-1, but Ardsley's setting 3. Now it looks like trying to run the top red into the shot red. And coming out, in-turn handle, this definitely has more weight here. The strike is going to be important here. Is it moving? It is moving a bit here. It looks like it's moving too much. The angle won't be right. Yeah, the angle was not. So now, Ardsley still sets 2. And now we have the second stone of the 4th end for the Ardsley second, Eli Clausen. Now in this situation, Wayne, Danny Casper, you have an advantage. How do you try to enhance your advantage?
Well, he's sitting pretty nice right now. I mean, that last rock gave Caitlin's team an opportunity to slash and maybe get rid of a double. I wouldn't mind the fact that those 2 blue rocks are still on the center line. He could come around them, although, as we say, it's not coming a whole lot that way. I think he can still come around and sit another one in the top 8 on that side. He's electing to get rid of this one. He'll want to make sure it isn't wide and have it go into the rocks. But if he hits and rolls to inside, it'll be sort of the same thing I'm talking about by drawing to the other. Plus, it takes away the slash.
Here it comes, coming down. In-turn handle. And let's see where that one's going to strike. And it does strike it out, but it rolls away. The red rolls away. So now, Ardsley's still sitting 2. And now this will be the first stone of the 4th end for the Rochester 3rd, Jeff Pulley. And given where Caitlin Pulley's setting up here, Wayne, it looks like they might be playing possibly a type of draw shot, try to draw and freeze.
That's right. And sometimes we talk about pro sides of shot. This rock can stop the game for non-repros. That blue is going to be a usable rock that Danny's going to have to worry about. So just don't be heavy on this shot. Use your sweepers. Okay. So definitely needs to be above the tee line here, coming down, but it's moving. Now, will it be able to stay above the tee line? That's going to be important here. Trying to guide it. Sweeping, and now it looks like, in this situation, looks like Ardsley's 1, Rochester is 2, Ardsley 3. But now in this situation here, Wayne, given the proximity of the rocks, this will be the first stone of the 4th end for Ardsley's 3rd, Sydney Mullaney.
coming down with an in-turn handle. Given the proximity of the rocks, what could happen?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure Sydney's going to hit something here, and I think Danny's hoping for ending up exactly where Caitlin wanted, hit and roll to the inside. Hitting and rolling away is awesome.
Here it comes down. It looks like very much a controlled weight, but it's moving. Oh, this one is moving. It's moving. It's definitely going to hit the high guard. It's definitely going to hit the high guard there, the Rochester high guard, and move over a bit. So now you have a situation. It's still Ardsley 1, Rochester 2. Now they're coming down. It looks like the second stone of the fourth end for the Rochester third, Jeff Pulley. And it looks like Caitlin Pulley is setting up to basically hit the two blue ones up top and drive them back in.
The fans are chuckling here because there was a huge smile on Caitlin's face. That rock could not have ended up in a worse spot for Team Casper. It's fully loaded. Hit that top blue rock somewhere, and a red rock's going to disappear. The ones that she's been struggling all in trying to get rid of.
In other words, the door is open. Now can they walk through? So that's what it comes down here to. Playing an in-turn handle, coming down, playing an in-turn handle. She's guiding sweepers. Now they're coming in hard. Now they're coming hard. Boom. And it clears them all out. And now it's gone from Ardsley being the first rock to now Rochester sitting 1 and 2. So now the situation for Danny Casper, what does he do?
Well, he's still got an opportunity to get a couple here. If he can play soft weight here, get an inside roll, it's going to be tough. It's sort of edge to edge, but you're just tapping here. Here is go hard to get it by. And I think they may do it. Now they're trying to make it curl. It's a beautiful rock here.
A very nice shot. Ardsley now is back 1, but now given the situation here, does Caitlin Pulley have an advantage here because her two stones are blue? Can she then play a similar shot to Jeff Pulley and try to drive him back?
Well, looking at it, she's probably not going to necessarily stay if she drives them back. I think the wiser shot is what she's settled upon here. Just do an open hit, make it go away, lie two. She really, again, does not want to have a nose hit. Well, if she has a nose hit, it might be hard for Danny to get an inside to make the double. So maybe a little inside roll actually would be nice here. And it's possible. There's a couple of inches of air.
Ardsley has the hammer in this end, so this is one of the key factors in the strategy. So one thing here, in thinking, Wayne, what you've been saying is, if you want to simplify matters, you keep Ardsley stones out. If it's just a takeout like that, then keeps them out and cuts down their opportunities.
They're going to have to go hard. Emily is going hard right now. They're going to have to go to get by that guard. Going all the way. Now they're letting up. Look at that. Well called.
And a little bit of a roll there. So now, again, Rochester now is back 2, and their shot rock is about, about a third exposed from behind the guards.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to hit that and be shot rock. I'm going to take my hat off to Jeff. So the one thing that club curlers lots of times just don't do is anticipate the break early enough. He had them on that right away, and it wasn't like it was on the guard. He just knew, hey, keep it out. We can let up later, all right? Great line calling on that, great shot making, great sweeping. It was a great team shot, and that's what you're looking for. Danny's calling the right thing here. All he can do is hit and roll, and it won't out count the rock that's on the center line. So, hey, come around, drawing four. Might get a skip's deuce. Who knows?
So the thing is here is we've talked about earlier that one tendency on the Rochester ice, the curl tends to finish sharply. So in that case, Jeff Pulley did anticipate that situation could occur and be right on it, so that they weren't trying to hold it up. Now he's coming down the right side, applying an out-turn handle. right side from the shooter's perspective. His first stone of the fourth end. A draw weight. They're really on it. Sweepers are on it. Sweepers are coming down. Now they're waiting. This is going to be, looks like a very fine touch here. And puts it right on in there. And it's definitely shot rock. It's on the 4 foot, just behind the tee line, right at the center line, from the shooter's perspective. Now the final stone of the fourth end for Caitlin Pulley, Rochester skip. Now in this situation, it looks like a draw here, but is he basically trying to get that stone, or maybe you just try to basically keep him down to 1?
That's a great question, Bill. I mean, we talked about forcing 1. Coming here, she does not want to be heavy. Coming light blocks that path for him, making it difficult. It'll be possible, but he's just going to have to really miss a guard on the left side or the right side to try and get that second count. So coming down and freezing on it, that'd be beautiful. She has the opportunity to slash her blue one into it, and if she needed to score more points, that's what she would do. But right now, that's stopping and making it difficult to draw on that side. So yes, coming down on this side, if anything, stopping short. If it draws right on it, that's fantastic.
Conceding 1 would be acceptable here, trying to keep him from the multiple point end. And we have it's a touch coming down, but will it freeze? Will it freeze? That's coming heavy. Oh boy. Okay. Now it sets up an opening for Danny Casper, because he can basically come down. He can effectively freeze right to that blue, and that would give him 2. So in this case here, Caitlin came down a little bit farther than she liked, and this leaves an opening.
Yeah, we talked earlier about one of Danny's rocks ending up exactly where they didn't want it, where it was fully loaded for the hit. We talked, could have been 3 feet short on this. It would have been fine. All right, the force, it would have been difficult to get to. It ended up in exactly the wrong spot, where now he's a little heavy. He's going to get his 2.
And a 4-3 deficit is much different than a 4-2 deficit. So here it comes, applying an out-turn handle, right-hand shooter. Now they're really on it. They're sweeping hard, but now they're up. They're watching it. They're watching it come down. This is looking very nicely. This is going to come out very nice. And it does. And so Ardsley takes 2. And now after 4 ends, coming into the 4th end break, it is Rochester 4, Ardsley 3, and we will be back after this short break. Just quickly, when you're looking down, coming out of the break,
nice alliteration there. He's anticipating, you know.
I know, because he's done it every time.
Yeah, it's like here's to you, Mike.
Welcome back to the Rochester Curling Club, Rochester, New York, for the final day of the 2020 Grand National Curling Club Mixed Playdowns. I am Bill Drumright, been joined by junior curling instructor and longtime curler Wayne Anderson. The winning team from this event will represent the GNCC at the USCA Mixed National Playdowns, scheduled for March 28th to April 4th in Chaska, Minnesota. We are through 4 ends, Rochester leading 4-3. This will be the first stone of the 5th end for the Ardsley lead, Susan Dutt. At the 4th end, Ardsley came back, and with 2, they had Hammer. Rochester will have Hammer in this end. It's been a fine match to this point, a lot of strategy, good execution of curling. On the last end, Caitlin Pulley's last rock went a little bit too deep. Danny Casper was able to take advantage. And so right now, coming out, it's Susan Dutt applying an out-turn handle, right-hand shooter. First stone of the 5th end. Probably looking for center guard. This looks like it's still kind of hanging a bit. Now starting to come down. Now some brisk sweeping there to try to get it. It's going to be pretty much a low guard just to the right of the center line. First stone of the 5th end for Rochester's lead, Jason Scott. Wayne, you and I were talking here at the break. Scott's coming out with an out-turn handle. There's been some fine strategy in this match. Both teams staying very close to each other.
Absolutely. I mean, this has been a joy for me to watch. I hate commentating on a game where I'm sort of in my mind saying, oh, they shouldn't be calling that. We're not seeing that here. This is good strategy. We're going to have a great GNCC representative at the national mixed championship, regardless of which of these teams comes out on top. Good strategy. I hope the fans are appreciating just how good the shot making is here.
Scott Stone went to the back 8 foot, just to the right of the center line, behind the tee line. Second stone now of the 5th end for Ardsley's lead, Susan Dutt. Again, an out-turn handle, right-hand shooter. Coming down. A little bit more weight here. So it's coming down the right. It's still hanging out there. Now it's coming back. Sweepers are on it really hard. Very hard sweeping there. Very, very hard sweeping, brushing, however you want to say it. Basically just touching the 8 foot on this case. So right now, Rochester's still shot, but Ardsley is setting 2. Now coming down the left side, the second stone in the 5th end for Rochester's lead, Jason Scott, applying an in-turn handle, right-hand shooter. Now in this situation, Wayne, generally you don't like to be below the tee line. So what might be happening here?
Well, Caitlin did have another option. She could hit that red rock that was thrown. It'd be a finesse shot. I don't want, if you're a Pulley fan, for this to get too complicated, and we just got complicated.
Very complicated because Scott's stone just rubbed off the Ardsley high guard, and now it's just above the 12 foot. And now the second stone here for, and the first stone in the 5th end for the Ardsley second, Eli Clausen. Playing an in-turn handle, coming down the left side, because now it looks like if Ardsley is able to draw behind that Rochester guard stone, it does get complicated. And the sweepers are on it. But will it be enough It doesn't look like it is. Now you have a clogged up center here, it looks like. So now it looks like some removal time, and that's going to be the job for Rochester's second, Emily Anderson Pinelli. Looks like it's setting up for a type of takeout and clearing that center. Be an in-turn handle. Takeout weight. Coming down. There's release. Scott's on it. Scott's on it hard. Scott's on it hard. Looking to clear that center. Looking to clear that center. And did a bump. And so basically right now, Rochester still 1, Ardsley 2, Rochester 3. 2 stones up. And now the second for Eli Clausen from Ardsley in the 5th end. And possibly looking to try to draw around. If they're able to do that, they're going to be in a decent position here. And it's coming down. Both sweepers on it. A little bit more weight this time. A little bit more weight. They're judging. This is coming down. This is looking like a very good weight here. The finish will be important. It's staying out, though. It doesn't look like it's moving as much. It's going to be shot rock, but it's going to be more just below the tee line, half on the 4-foot, half on the 8, and exposed. Second stone now for Rochester second, Emily Anderson Pinelli. And now in this situation, Wayne, could you be looking for either a hit and roll or a free?
I don't like the complications, so I'm going for the hit and roll. She doesn't have much room. It has to be just hack weight on this. And, she's got about 1.5 foot, but it is the straight side, so this is going to be lightweight. We'll see what kind of weight. I got my stopwatch time in this one. It's probably going to be about an 11-second hit, which is on the downside, which is exactly what I would expect. It's because it needs to be finesse. It's 11.8 seconds, so really nice. Just that's good.
And it does hit it through. Rochester is shot now, but that shot rock is exposed on that left side. And this is the first stone of the 5th end for the Ardsley third, Sydney Mullaney. And given where Danny Casper's setting his broom, it looks like could be like a takeout, a hit and roll situation here. A little bit narrower line. They're coming down, sweeping on it hard. Sweeping on it hard. It looks like they're going to get the roll. They're going to get the angle. They're going to get the roll. And that's just what they wanted. And they've got it right onto the button. So the World Cup sound is back. Ardsley is setting shot rock here on the button. And now comes the first stone of the 5th end for the Rochester third, Jeff Pulley. Given the look, this could be a tap back here. This could be a tap back. It's coming down, in-turn handle, but it looks a little bit too wide. It looks like the angle won't be right. The angle will not be right there. It's going to rub and rub to the back. So the left side is open. Ardsley still 1 here. So it looks like the vagaries of fortune in this game.
Yeah, the good thing is the guard is gone. Danny's going to have to put it back up and the waste of rock there. It did rearrange the rocks, and I think people can see at home those rocks on the right now got realigned, and all of a sudden the blue-red is going into the middle here again. We'll see whether that ever gets used down the road.
Second stone for the Ardsley third, Sydney Mullaney. We're in the 5th end. Rochester ahead 4-3. Definitely looks like a type of a draw weight here. An in-turn handle, right-hand shooter, and ball now the skip has come out for it to sweep, and they're very much looking to set up a guard. Great sweeping there, great sweepings that pulls it right in, and I guess if I might say youth was served there because that was fine, vigorous sweeping because it took it down. If I had tried that sweeping, they'd be calling for the ambulance, let me tell you. So, yeah, I know. As little as possible. Skip's prerogative. Okay, now we have the second stone of the 5th end for Rochester third, Jeff Pulley. But now he's coming in here with an out-turn handle, hoping for a double. It's coming down, but it's going to have to fall across a little bit across the face to do it, it looks like. And that's what they're playing for here. And it looks like it just might. And it does, and jammed in the back, though. So now Ardsley is setting 3. Ardsley's setting 3. You were talking about complications earlier. This is not good.
Keep it simple. The KISS formula works out many times, right? Keep it simple.
Now we have the first stone of the 5th end for the Ardsley skip, Danny Casper. And Wayne, I guess I'll ask you this question here. If he's able to set up a good guard or something like that, what options would Caitlin Pulley have?
Well, it's going to get tough. You do have the blue guard that you could run in, and even though you're looking at 3, you wanted to hit it with a weight where it's going to stay around. Caitlin can afford to give up 1 here. It's a very acceptable outcome to give up 1. All right, it's tied. She'd have hammer coming into the 6th, third last end. So giving up 1, try and figure out a shot where, hey, maybe we're not going for avoiding a steal. Maybe we're looking at, can we get force of, or just give up a steal of 1.
And Casper's put up a fine guard there, just to the left of the center line and high. So now here's the situation for the first stone of the 5th end for the Rochester skip, Caitlin Pulley. If they're looking here, like down the left side, like possibly trying to angle the Rochester blue into the Ardsley shot rock. What are the challenges here, it seems like, is not just you have to have the weight right, but you have to have the striking point right as well.
That's right. I'm hoping, like I said earlier, that we're playing a soft move here, just back line. I'd be happy with. I'm not looking for a whole bunch of red rocks disappearing. I'm interested in that blue rock getting hidden in behind here somewhere at this point, and maybe only 1 red rock counting.
So here's the point right now. It's going to have to be it's a controlled weight, and she's playing an in-turn handle. Now there has been a tendency on this sheet for the ice to sort of move toward the walkway. So in this case here, getting the angle right is going to be of importance combined with the weight. This is a shot that requires both touch and nerve, or she might to go through there. But you got to get by that guard to do it. And they're really on it to try to get it by that guard. If they get it by that guard, they did get it. Oh, no. But it's going to. Oh, it did. Okay, so it's still 1-2 for Ardsley there. They rubbed just a slight bit on the red, and that was just enough. And so now it looks like for Ardsley, this is the last stone of the 5th end for the Ardsley skip, Danny Casper. If he can set up a guard and block up that port, that would likely then make a much tougher shot than for Caitlin Pulley.
Absolutely, and we'll see how aggressive he is. I mean, he could follow Caitlin through there and sit in the just biting the top of the 4-foot. That would put a lot of pressure on Caitlin on this one as well. But certainly you're right. If this is, again, the pro side, don't be heavy on this thing and move one of those guards. Either go through the port softly or stop short.
So here it comes out. It's coming out a little bit slower, so it looks like you'd be coming out there more trying to play a guard weight in this case. All right. And trusting the sweepers to be able to take the stone to the desired spot. And it's going to come on down. It's coming. Even if it rubs off that blue, that's going to be a nice play. And it did rub off the blue. And they got a really nice play because right now it's looking at least 2 for Ardsley. And the Ardsley 4th stone is right in line with the shot. You've got the high guard there. It looks like now for Caitlin Pulley, she pretty much is going to have to try to play an in-turn draw in there and basically freeze to that shot rock. It looks like it's going to be a hard line with a difficult touch because that Ardsley 4th stone could easily get in the way. I mean, that's my assessment. How would you assess?
I think she's sort of safe on not promoting that red rock that was just thrown by Danny, in that it's the long guard is pretty much in front of it. It would be bad luck to promote it in there. She was looking at the 2 options we talked about before, still softly promoting the the slashing the blue one in softly, or I think I'd like to see her do the exact shot she did last time. She had a beautiful shot. Just follow that same path down, see what happens.
And so it's basically setting about a similar position. This is a important shot here because it's one thing. It would be one thing to give up one. It'd be another thing to give up 2 or 3. So we'll see what happens here. Last stone of the 5th end, Caitlin Pulley, Rochester skip. Right-hand shooter applying an in-turn draw. Looks like a little bit stronger here. Sweeper on it. Sweeper on it. Is she going to try to go off and play a roll? She's going for the raise, but it's not going to curl. And no, it did not. And so now it's 3. And so Ardsley takes 3. And now going into the 6th end, the score is Ardsley 6, Rochester 4. And we'll be back after this brief break.
You are correct.
We are back at the Rochester Curling Club, Rochester, New York, the final day of the 2020 GNCC Mixed Playdowns. Our featured match is between the Ardsley Rink of the Ardsley Curling Club and the Rochester Curling Club, and we just had a very big change of fortune. Ardsley stole 3 in the 5th end coming out of the break, and now the score is Ardsley 6, Rochester 4. If Ardsley wins this match, they will win the playdowns, and they will represent the GNCC at the USCA Mixed National Championships, scheduled for March 28th, April 4th in Chaska, Minnesota. The first stone of the 6th end for the Ardsley lead, Susan Dutt, playing a right-hand shooter with an in-turn handle. Now in this situation, joined by Wayne Anderson, now that Ardsley has the lead, what sort of strategy might be applied here?
Look at how hard those sweepers are going, trying to get this rock into the house. You're going to see a simple end from Danny and his squad here. There will not be multiple rocks in play here. They've got a 2-point lead. They're going to try and force Caitlin to take 1 here, at most giving up 2. We're not going to see a lot of rocks.
First stone of the 6th end for the Rochester lead, Jason Scott. And it's coming down a little bit narrower line. At this point, it looks like it's not a takeout race. So it looks like Caitlin Pulley's not trying to play a takeout type style at this point. But it's going to be effectively a high guard to the right of the center line from the shooter's perspective. And now, second stone now of the 6th end for the Ardsley lead, Susan Dutt. And it looks like Danny Casper has called for a little tap back here, a promote. She comes out a little bit stronger. The sweepers are careful on this, trying to get not just the tap, but the right angle as well. It's coming in from the left. This one's kind of lighter than they think, and it might just bump it just a touch. But he is sweeping hard. So you have Ardsley as 2 stones. Now comes the second stone for Rochester's lead, Jason Scott. We are in the 6th end. Ardsley is leading 6-4 after 5. But they're coming down on a side where the stones have tended to hang out and not curl as much. Will they sweep? Emily Anderson Pinelli is sweeping it. Now it has to get by, can't rub. And it rubs. To a very bad spot indeed, because now the Rochester Blue is in line with the 2 Ardsley Reds. This is the first stone of the 6th end for the Ardsley second, Eli Clausen. Coming down, applying an in-turn handle, right-handed shooter. And this one is looking It's got the right speed. They're definitely going to try to draw this one for the house. But will it be strong? Will it be strong? Will it be heavy? Looks like it's going to definitely pass the tee line. Caitlin Pulley is on it. Sweeping it back. Goes to the back 12 foot near the right on the center line. And now we have the first stone of the sixth in for the Rochester second, Emily Anderson Pinelli.
Tough shot here. Can't see a whole lot of it. Plus, it's not on the side that is curling.
And really hard sweeping there by Jason Scott. They've got to get by that guard, and it doesn't look like they're going to get by that guard. It's going to keep drifting. And now it splits. Now the center is open now, but if guard goes back up, again, it's going to be tough. The second stone of the sixth in for the Ardsley second, Eli Clausen. Right-hand shooter, in-turn handle, coming up with a little bit much with a lighter weight this time. With a lighter weight, they're guiding this. Doesn't look like it's going to be coming back to the center. It's going to be more like a corner. Or if it goes in, it'll be like 12, as a 12. It's coming in, drifting. And in fact, actually, they sweep it to the 8. But now you have a cluster of stones. Is there a takeout situation?
Yes, Caitlin, I know they're going to be disappointed after the last hand, right? But bottom line is they're down to with hammer here. They need to make sure they score. It's definitely not going to steal. So, yes, takeout situation right now is make sure that they're going to find a way to get scored.
Here it comes down. In-turn handle is coming over. Definitely moving. Hit with a bit of a roll. 2 out. Right now it's Ardsley a shot, Rochester 2, then Ardsley 3. And now we have the first stone of this for the Ardsley third, Sydney Mullaney in the sixth end. And it looks like it's going to be trying to hit and roll, but to have the stone, in a sense, fall across the face and then roll to the center. In-turn handle. And it's moving. It is moving. Will it strike where they need to? And it looks like they did, and they did get a roll, but it's rolling across. It's now shot rock right on the tee line. It's on to the right of the center line from the shooter's perspective. But now this does give us a bit of an opening here to Rochester third, Jeff Pulley, his first stone in the sixth end.
And I like what Caitlin's doing here. A lot of people want to say, why didn't she hit and roll to the button? Well, those rocks are so short for running back, bang, 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 that it's going to be gone. The red rock on the top 8 foot is just into the 8 foot. She hits and rolls to the outside. Get away from here. Back it. It's simple. All right. Make sure we score. Now Danny's going to try and hit and roll to the center because we didn't get the roll out.
So, although Rochester shot rock, that stone is exposed. And this is the second stone now in the sixth end for the Ardsley third, Sydney Mullaney. Be playing an out-turn handle. And because the ice does tend to fall coming down this side, it's going to be important to be right on the line if you're trying to play the shot. The peanut gallery is in full force. Okay. Here it comes, and it is moving now. So it could get a roll to the center if they wanted to. But it stays up there. Ardsley sitting 3, but now it looks like Caitlin Pulley, the second stone for Jeff Pulley, they're looking for now a hit and roll to the center here. And be an out-turn handle. Coming out. Can they come? No, that one's staying out there. That one looks like it's going to stay out. The stone will go out, but they're not going to get the roll to the center. Okay? Rolls to the right. Ardsley still 1, Rochester 2, Ardsley 3. Now we have the the first stone. We're down to Skips Rocks. First stone for Danny Casper in the sixth end. Ardsley ahead 5-3. And it looks like here, Wayne, if he wants to try to roll back, he's going to come in with an in-turn handle.
Yeah, his main objective here is to get rid of that rock. Again, the key on that last one, I'm glad that the shooter stayed. Make Danny make a hit here, and we'll see what happens. Still, Caitlin's got two. He hits this one. I don't mind her coming around, and usually I always say go behind the tee line. Well, the way out of this was I'd like to use the opposition rocks as your guards, coming around to the back four more than the rocks back there. It's just biting the back four on the center line would not be a bad shot.
The blue is out, but so is the red, and so Ardsley now is still setting two. And now comes the first rock of the sixth end for Caitlin Pulley. I mean, Wayne, my assessment here right now, this is a very crucial point now in the match, because Rochester does need to get a minimum of one here, it seems, because you don't want to go into the seventh end down by a large number. I mean, if they get one at least, they close it to one. But I think there'll be a difference here between being down one and being down, say, two or more.
Oh, yeah. Again, you do not want to give up a steal here. If you're forced to take one, you're down one, 2 ends to go. Who knows what's going to happen here? You might have noticed if you were watching Caitlin's broom, she tapped a couple of spots. One of them was what I was talking about, the back, very back on the back four. That is one alternative. If she wanted to make sure she could score, she could hit the rocks up top, but she's giving up basically any chance of getting her two. I think it's worthwhile, given that the top rock is only just in the 8 foot. I like coming around at this stage. Just don't be just behind the tee line where he can come down, even if you're fully buried, and sit right on top of you, because you're not going to get that out. You're going to give up a steal. Come back further than that, so if he sits on you, you can come sit down on him and be right on the button.
So if you're going to go deep in this situation, you have to go deep enough so that you almost have to go back and almost to the 8 foot then, in a sense, to try to then create that sort of stacking.
Yeah, just biting the back. You could, as long as you're shot rock, you can't go back so far you're not shot rock.
This is the first stone in the sixth end for the Rochester skip, Caitlin Pulley. Ardsley is leading 5-3. If they win this match, they will be the GNCC Mixed Playdown champions. Looks like her coming down the left side will be an in-turn handle. And right now we have a fairly quiet warm-up. This is an important shot. Coming down. Their sweepers are on it because line will be crucial here. They're going to make this shot work. They're really working on this. They're working hard. They're coming. They're trying to pull this one out. It's coming down. It's coming down. Now you got 3 sweepers on it. And now it's 4. It's 4. It's touching the 1 foot there. But it's still open up enough for Danny Casper, it looks like, to be able to get to that stone. What sort of stone could he play?
And he's not interested in this rock necessarily staying. He's interested in that rock disappearing. He does that. He's, worst case, forcing them to take one. If they don't make the drive, he steals. So you're going to see a wait where that rock's going to disappear. In all likelihood, a shooter as well. And don't consider that a miss when a shooter rolls out. He's just doing the right strategy, making sure that blue rock disappears.
But now in this situation, if you want your rock to disappear as well, where you hit the stone is going to be of primary importance. He doesn't want to hit and stick.
Well, I don't mind him hitting and sticking. In fact, it'd be a great shot. I'm saying he doesn't care about rolling out. His number 1 and 2 and 3 priority is to make the blue rock go away.
The second stone of the sixth end for the Ardsley skip, Danny Casper, applying an in-turn handle, right-hand shooter. And it's coming down, and it looks like it's going to be a very good line. It's got to get by, though, those fronts, but it looks like it will, and it does. And it rolls to the left. Jeff Pulley on it, sweeping hard. Now Ardsley is setting 3, and our World Cup ski chalet is still going strong here. Yes, it doesn't. It is not Austria. It may seem like it, but it's not. It is Rochester, New York, the Rochester Curling Club, and this is the last stone now of the sixth end for Caitlin Pulley, looking to draw for one. Basically, if she is full 8 foot, near the 4 foot, she will get 1 point. Here it comes down the left side. This looks a bit heavy. This does look heavy. This looks heavy. But now the sweepers don't have to touch it. But this may be too heavy. This may be too heavy. Well, it might be, but it's going to be sweeping. All right, it is. Okay, so Rochester scores 1. And after 6 ends, the score is Ardsley 6, Rochester 5. And we'll be back after this short break. We're back at the Rochester Curling Club, Rochester, New York, the final day of the 2020 GNCC Mixed Nationals. And before the time gets away, I do want to make sure we give a very high compliment and praise to the Rochester Ice crew who has been here this week. Bob Williams, the chief of the crew, Mark Andrews, Mark Ely, Darren Brooks, Bob Fothergill, Eric Loy, Jim Blocho, Alex Maxon, Scott Parmalee, and Clark Raven. All of the teams have been extremely complimentary of the Rochester Ice, and these are the people responsible for it, so a job well done. First stone of the 7th end for the Rochester lead, Jason Scott, applying an out-turn handle, right-hand shooter, and 1 point down is Rochester. So in this situation here, again, Wayne, the basic type of goals here for the both teams.
I mean, the team that's down, Caitlin is obviously wanting that center line guard. Now, here's a shot that I like. Danny called for, actually, I think, to go to back quad. And that is a very common practice that is used if you want to blank an end. And that's what he would love to do here. He would love to blank and come home 1-up with hammer. So what you do is you put it in back quad. I would expect Caitlin may ignore it, but all of a sudden, right away, it increases the stakes that she may give up 2. All right, but she'd be doing the right thing, put another guard, because she has to go harder than normal to try and force Danny to take one. She'd rather come home with hammer 2 down. All right, even maybe than some teams, even maybe rather than stealing and being tied without.
And so the first stone of the 7th end for lead Susan Dutt with an in-turn handle. Ended up on the tee line, basically straddling the 8 foot and the 12 foot on the right side from the shooter's perspective. Second stone for Jason Scott, and they are sweeping, but it looks like they're still going to try to play for a center guard to be able to set up to draw behind cover here, because as Wayne was talking about, Danny Casper would, blanking an end and coming home ahead 1 with the hammer would be a great advantage. But now it's setting up, I guess, for the situation where how long does it go for Caitlin Pulley before she has to give attention to these rocks if they're put in. So this is the second now in the 7th end for the Ardsley lead, Susan Dutt. Looks like where Danny Casper's setting up, looks like it's going to be an in-turn handle and trying to again put a second stone in on that right side. And so you were saying here, Wayne, when you're talking about this, if he's trying to blank the end, you put these stones in, then they have to be given attention to.
Well, you increase the price for taking the risk of ignoring them, and trying to steal and go on your center line guards. So I think regardless of what happens here, Danny is going to make rocks disappear. Now, the way those rocks are staggered, it's easy to double them out, and I think right now they would miss the back one, but I'd be very surprised if Danny doesn't make those blues disappear on the next shot.
This is the first stone now of the 7th end for the Rochester second, Emily Anderson Pinelli. And it looks like they're calling for a draw basically to the 4 foot. And if you favor the left side, just left of the center line, will be behind cover. Both sweepers on it for Rochester. Placement of this stone is going to be important if you're going to try to force Ardsley to try to clear the center. And they're really pushing it. They're pushing it. They're pushing it. And they're sweeping very hard. And it's going to go, and it's going to be right behind. It's on the 4 foot above the tee line, left of the center line. And now it looks like the first stone of the 7th end for the Ardsley second, Eli Clausen. Looks like what they're saying, Wayne, they're going to look to try to clear that center.
Absolutely. And let's take a time on Eli here. I'm estimating that hog to hog, he is going to be under 7 seconds. Sometimes it comes, that's 6.6 seconds. Rocks disappear. People might say, oh, but his rocks disappeared in the back. Remember what we said his real goal is? Blank the ends. All right, he's well on his way to doing that.
So basically, right now, Rochester is shot, but Rochester is exposed. And so now, basically, the second stone for Rochester second, Emily Anderson Pinelli, in the 7th end, playing an out-turn handle. And basically, it looks like now it looks like more of a guard weight here, trying to set up the guard and then force a different play. So let's see what happens. It's coming down. The sweepers are on it. One of the things that seems here, Wayne, in this where sweepers really earn their money, so to speak, is their ability to place the stone to the desired area.
And that's because these teams have great sweepers. And I'm always saying, if you're asked to throw a guard and you have great sweepers, you make sure you use them, because they can not only get the distance right, they can get the line right. Sweep early, keep it straight, sweep late, curl. If you're throwing a guard, use your sweepers, please. It's not just distance, it's also getting it right in front of the rock where you want it.
Eli Clausen looking for a takeout there, and does. Moves to the left. That stones are out of play. Now, in this situation, Wayne, now we're into the thirds. This is the first stone of the 7th end for the Rochester third, Jeff Pulley. Is this looking now like putting up guard, taking away guard?
It absolutely is. And the importance, they always say, the second's first rock coming around those guards that the lead put up, that has to be a scoring rock. And the rocks were off the center line, so you couldn't have it on the button. It had to get behind. Emily put about as good of a shot as you can, and you guard for life from then on. And who knows? Maybe they end up stealing, but we'll see. We're going to see Peels until they have a real opportunity to make it go away, and then they might say, hey, we're getting down in rocks. This might be our best opportunity to move that rock out of there and challenge them to put a better rock.
So the guard is up, and it looks like now, let's see, this is the first stone of the 7th end for the Ardsley third, Sydney Mullaney. Given where Danny Casper's setting up here, this seems like more of a controlled weight in terms of her handle. Her handle is an out-turn handle. One or the other. And it looks like they might be trying to go down to get it. And it looks like they're going to be able to. It is going to be wide, and a little bit wide, and it'll be a roll. But the Rochester stone is taken out. Ardsley stone rolls to the back right quadrant behind the tee line to the right side, just basically touching the 12-foot.
Beautiful shot, the weight on that. And Danny called it. That was the shot that he won. That was number one. But he called the weight and the ice. If it over-curled and took the guard, he's okay. The shooter may still have been maybe the blank. Taking two, that's okay.
And this is the second stone now for the Rochester third, Jeff Pulley. An out-turn handle. And they're going to have to they're working on this. I don't know if they can get it. Well, they were working hard to get it behind. They're working hard. They're working very hard to get it behind. And it's going to be second, though. I mean, Ardsley right now is still shot rock. And it looks like Danny Casper now calling. Let's see. So the second stone now for Ardsley's third, Sydney Mullaney, and the seventh end. Looks like you're going to try to get that second stone out. Coming down the center line, out turn handle. This one looks like it's going to be narrow here. This one looks like it'll be narrow. Probably it's going to get it by. Can they get it by? No, it rubs. It rubs past. Okay, so Ardsley is still shot rock. Rochester looks 2. Both stones exposed here. Now, Wayne, in this situation, you're Caitlin Pulley. What are you going to be trying to do? How do you have to try to set the end up to get the maximum result?
Well, it really is interesting, Bill. It's a good question because she's got a choice. She can easily hit on the back one, freeze on the back one, and probably force Danny to take one here. Or, as she's indicating, come around and to say, I'm going to try and steal. The trouble with coming around, Danny's going to, unless it's really open, he's going to run back, and these guys are good. But Caitlin's also getting at a stage where we're going to have to take some risk. So if she comes around and gets well buried, Danny's going to run it back, and he may end up line 2. And at that point in time, Caitlin's going to have to take a chance and come around again. So we'll see what happens. But she has the opportunity right now. If she says, I'm okay coming home 2 down with hammer, she could hit that rock, and it'd be pretty hard for Danny to double those out. And he may end up being forced to take one. So it'll be interesting to see which way she goes. Neither one's wrong. Depends whether you want to take a chance on being tied coming home without or down to with. And different teams are going to have different preferences.
In terms of the time, it's just in thinking time, it's just above 6 minutes for the Rochester rink and 6:42 for the Ardsley rink. So there is time here, and they're taking a fair amount here because this is a shot of some great importance here. Because as you were saying, Wayne, she has a couple options. The thing is, it looks like now in this situation, if she tried to draw behind the Rochester 2, would be the likelihood that she would be back into the behind the tee line. If so, does that really matter in this case if she played that shot?
No, you need to get some separation. So I think she has to go back behind the tee line, and that she can't. If she leaves it on the top and looking at the rock, they're already halfway into the 8-foot. So if she's in front of the tee line, she's only going to be a couple of feet apart. That's almost a gimme for Danny.
So as she's looking like now, she's going to be playing, and that's a light. It looks like you're going to be playing for the draw. And that's a draw weight, and the sweepers are really going to have to take this one. They're making sure it does not move into rub. The judgment is going to be important here. In fact, okay, so I'm going to ask you, was that a less than desirable result?
Well, she does have something that can end up giving her the field of 1 here if Danny doesn't get this rock where he wants. So Danny has a choice here. I mean, he could pretty easily at his level peel those 2 blue rocks off, and there'd be nothing there except his red rock in the back of the house. He's electing to come around. What he cannot do is stop on the back of the button. All right? He cannot stop there. That's giving Caitlin's too much of a chance. If he's going to go behind that tee line, they've got to sweep that.
Here it comes, the first rock in the 7th end for the Ardsley skip, Danny Casper. Out turn handle. Out turn handle. Now they're pushing it. Now they're pushing it. And it's going to be now Ardsley. Ardsley is setting 2. Ardsley setting 2. It is top 4 foot. Top 4 foot right on the center line. And this is looking, this is my recreational curler expertise here. It does not look that good for Rochester at this point.
If Caitlin can, I would rather be Danny right now than Caitlin. Let's put it that way. I think she will settle on coming down and corner freezing on that. Again, that's a very precise shot. She cannot afford to roll off that. Can't afford to roll off at 2 inches, or she's looking at 3. Giving up 2 and being 3 down isn't really that great, as she has the open hit to do that. But that's sort of guaranteeing you're giving up the 2. The corner freeze, he's going to have to draw the 4 foot. But it's a higher risk shot, of course, trying to put a corner freeze than making an open hit. But and the only last choice is try and come right around the whole thing to be shot in the back of the house. But that's really precise. You've only got a couple of feet to do that. So we'll see. I won't time out.
Timeout here by Rochester. So this is the important point of the match. I mean, Rochester is down to 3 minutes 53 seconds of thinking time. Ardsley is at 6 minutes 2 seconds of thinking time. So Wayne, let's go through the scenarios here. Okay, Ardsley is up 6-5. They have hammer, 7th end. Your Caitlin Maroldo. Your Caitlin Pulley. My apologies. You were talking about freezing on the shot rock as a possibility. Basically, right now, that's what they seem to be looking at here in terms of angles and things.
Yeah, I think that has to be one of their considerations. They were looking at run backs. I don't like that. I think it's low probability and it's opening it up. I think you could end up in a punch. As much as I don't like being down 3, the only other possibility is hitting the open one. But I think she's going for the corner freeze. It's a precise shot. It's not going to be pretty if this doesn't weld on there. And if it does weld on there, Danny has just a draw to fight 4, and he's got his 2. So we'll see, but he will have to make that shot. But here it is. This is a great game we're able to watch here today.
And definitely setting up. It looks like there's where Jeff Pulley is setting up here. This is the second stone in the 7th end for the Rochester skip, Caitlin Pulley. And it looks like the way they're setting up, it's definitely going to be a guided draw weight. Here it comes, out-turn handle clubbed. And it's coming down. It's coming down. At this point, the path is looking good. The path is looking good, but judging the sweeping to get it to come there and freeze is going to be important. And it looks like they did. A beautiful shot. So, at this point now, Ardsley is 1. Ardsley is 1. Rochester 2. Danny Casper, his final zone of the 7th end. Ardsley ahead 6-5, and they're going to have to basically get touching the 4 foot to be able to score 2 here. But so it's a draw shot. Looks like it'll be with an out-turn handle. And I guess this is when you find out how good your nerves are and your judgment.
Well, this is Caitlin. That was a fantastic shot. That was, yes, she could very well end up getting up 2, but she's put as much pressure on Danny to get his 2 as she could. So as we said, getting the open one, that was easy, but then he just had to throw it. But she's put as much pressure on. We'll see what happens here.
It's coming down the right side. This does have a little bit of speed here. They are sweeping on it. They are sweeping. And is it coming there? Does it have the touch? And that has the touch, and that's going to be 2. And so now going into the 8th end is now Ardsley 8, Rochester 5, and we'll be back after this short break. We're back at the Rochester Curling Club, Rochester, New York. This is the final day of the 2020 GNCC Mixed Championship Playdowns. We have reached the 8th, and Ardsley, skipped by Danny Casper, is up 8-5 over Rochester, skipped by Caitlin Pulley. Wayne Anderson here. Now we're coming into the 8th end. Basically, what are the options?
Well, you're going to see total offense. You're going to see total defense. So that's what the way it's going to boil down. I'm so pleased that we have a final of this quality here. And regardless of which team comes out on top here, the GNCC should be very proud of the representative that they're going to be sending to the Nationals. Interestingly, regardless of which team goes to Nationals, someone's going to be playing against a sibling at Nationals. The Minnesota rink has Emily's sisters, Sarah and Taylor, on it. And if Danny's team wins, Eli will be going up against, once again, his brother Hunter. And also his teammate from his junior/men's team, Ethan Sampson. So it'll be interesting how it goes. But in questions on this, they're going hard to get that rock in the house. They do not want any guards here. This is the defensive team throwing now. You're going to see Caitlin going total offense here.
So the first stone now in the 8th end for the Rochester lead, Jason Scott. Playing an intern handle. Coming on down, definitely coming down the right side. It's coming on down, but they're sweeping on it. And it doesn't look like could not be the greatest of results there. Okay, now the second stone of the 8th end for the Ardsley lead, Susan Dutt. Her first stone ended up on the center line in the 12-foot. Applying an intern handle. Sweepers on it.
The other side now? With a 2? Otherwise, we're just going to line them up pretty close.
It's coming on down.
I just don't want to leave them an easy double.
It's coming down. It looks like they're going to be able to rub it right by. They are. And great sweeping there. Very great sweeping. Down to the 1 foot, pretty much full foot. Okay, now the second stone of the 8th end for the Rochester lead, Jason Scott. Applying an out-turn handle. Looking like a draw weight. Like a draw weight.
He definitely wants it short, though. This is where they cannot. It's a fatal sin in this situation where we want total offense to not take full advantage of that. Of course, part of the strategy is taking advantage of the 3-guard zone. So that's a great shot right there.
And so basically now Rochester has that guard up. This is the first stone of the 8th end for the Ardsley second, Eli Clausen. Now again, Wayne, when you're talking about total defense here, what is involved in this?
Well, this would be one situation where I wouldn't even mind if Danny just threw it away. More rocks in play eventually will help the Meraldo rink. On the other hand, one situation that you hate to be in is a rock on the button, a rock on the 12-foot on the center line, and a 3-guard. So a few rocks just trying to get in the scoring position. So we'll see. It's okay. I would have been okay with if you just said, let's have it disappear and then start hitting.
And it looks like it's going to be a center line guard, a high center line guard, just a little bit there on the right. Now comes the first stone of the 8th end for the Rochester second, Emily Anderson Pinelli. Looks like you're going to try to draw down between this port.
Yeah, Caitlin wants it moved. She does not want it removed. All right? Again, any rock in play is going to the team. So she does not look at it.
And it's coming on down. Stupers on it. Jeff Pulley on it. Going to have to get now both Stupers on it. They're guiding it by, and on the idea of moving then removing, looks like it's going to be moved. It is moved. Okay, so basically now Ardsley is 1 and 2. Rochester's third is behind the Rochester guard. Now we have the second here for Eli Clausen. Ardsley second. And in this situation, Wayne, he's coming down with some speed here. Looks like he wants to remove.
Yeah,
to the right here. Very hard sweeping by Sidney Mullaney. So basically now, we now have the second stone of the 8th end for the Rochester second, Emily Anderson Pinelli. Looks like going to be playing an intern handle. Now in this situation here, Wayne should be trying to freeze or move.
I'd say I don't mind a freeze here. The trouble with ending up rock, there's a double
The sweepers are really on it. This might be a little bit lighter than our last stone, but it's going to be coming in. Okay, coming down. Definitely touching on the 8-foot there. So now we have the first stone of the 8th end for the Ardsley third, Sidney Mullaney. What are we looking at here?
He's just making blue rocks disappear. This is hit the open rock. All right, Caitlin's eventually going to have to keep moving rocks, and every time she puts one in the open, that's
straightforward, very straightforward. And moves and rolls, and now Ardsley is setting 3 here. Now the first stone of the 8th end for the Rochester third, Jeff Pulley, and now it's looking like this is going to be a tricky shot, but a shot that's going to have to be tried.
I think Caitlin is still going with move, but not remove, and I think that'll be what you're going to see.
Here it comes, out-turn handle. It's definitely a controlled weight. It's a controlled weight. Will it get by that high guard? Will it get by that high guard? It does not look like it will. It's going to rub. It rubbed. And being swept on down, but it's a biter. It's a biter, but still not the best of positions. If you're Ardsley, though, you're in a much better shape right now. Second stone here for Sidney Mullaney. This is her second stone of the Ardsley third in the 8th end. Now in this situation, Wayne, what are the options?
Make that blue rock disappear, but some people might not appreciate that actually removing a red rock along with it, that would be great. Okay, every rock is helping Caitlin right now. So just but throw a weight that makes that blue rock disappear. And the trouble with trying to make the rock on the button disappear at the same time, one, it's a very good rock, and two, it might hit and jam over and you don't remove the blue rock. Number one, get rid of that blue rock.
Rochester needs 3 to send this to extra ends, and we're down and Rochester now is down to 3 stones. So here comes the shot. And so now what we have is Ardsley setting 1. I think it's Rochester 2 here. And now comes the shot, the second stone for Jeff Pulley, Rochester's third in the 8th end. It looks like Caitlin Pulley is calling for a hit and roll to the center, and a pretty extensive roll if you want to try to roll behind cover.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to double and roll behind. I would not mind if she actually drew to the top 12-foot behind the center line guard. If she did that, you know that the opposition is going to remove the open rock. Here, but make the shot. It's okay, but
and it got a roll, but it basically Ardsley looks like they're still shot rock. Rochester 2 and 3. Now we're down to skips rocks. This is Danny Casper, skip for Ardsley. Looking at a potential hit and roll situation here on the right side. And if he can, as he said, Rochester needs to score 3. We got a timeout here. This timeout for Ardsley. Looks like it does appear to be there won't be much. It won't be a time issue because both teams have over 2 minutes remaining. Ardsley has 2:59, so it doesn't appear to be a problem here. But in this situation now, obviously staying at the point of trying to get rid of the blue rock, what are you looking at?
Well, what I like is I make that rock go away, and the double is there with up weight. The nice thing about trying a double with up weight, these guys can throw weight very accurately, so you're not worried about them pitching it or something like that. Throw it up weight, to make the double, you have to hit a lot of that rock. Where I don't like trying doubles is when you have to hit about 2 inches of it to make it. In this case, he can throw it hard, hit just on the inside of that blue rock. He's going to bounce that way, and he may make the double. Bottom line is, it's a safe way of getting rid of one. That's what I'd be doing if I was.
So part of it here is also, it seems like not just making the decision, but making the decision that you're clear about thinking what to do and being decisive about the commitment to the shot.
That's right. And I mean, Eli was looking at a nose hit may not be bad in that the rock ends up in a spot where if we remove it, maybe another double is set up. But I think he's just going to throw a rock to make sure this thing disappears. He's in pretty good shape right now.
We'll be coming down the right side, applying, looks like an out-turn handle, right-hand shooter. Danny Casper, first rock of the 8th end. Ardsley ahead 8-5. Rather controlled weight there, it looks like. The line's looking very good. It looks like just a slight bit to the right. And now we are down to the last 2 rocks for Caitlin Pulley, skip for Rochester. And Rochester needs 3. What potential, what would they have to have here to try to get 3?
Well, they've got the one that's just biting, buried behind a guard over there. One of their rocks is open that Danny's always going to be able to hit. So almost no matter if she rolls behind the guard, Danny's going to hit the open one. Kind of look at it, thinking about Danny's last shot, it seemed to stay. Right? And then maybe that's second thinking about that hard hit and roll. I was not noticing at the time that he rolls out, all of a sudden Peyton has an open hit this hit 3. That would not have been good. So there's the junior showing the coach what to do on that shot. Right now, Caitlin, I think she's coming around this back one and maybe tap. We'll see. We'll just watch.
Well, she definitely is looking to apply coming on the right side with an out-turn handle. Appears to be a controlled weight. Definitely have to have some movement if she's going to try to get to that back left stone for Ardsley, which is shot rock at this point. It's coming down, and looks like she's going to get to it, and she's going to tap, and now Rochester is sitting 1-2. Ardsley setting 3. So now it comes down to it's the last stone of the 8th end for Danny Casper. Skip for Ardsley. Coming down the left, looks like they want to take out that blue on the left. And we're going to see what happens here. It looks like they'll be coming down with an in-turn handle. Here he comes out of the hack, applying an in-turn handle. And they're sweeping on it hard. Could this be narrow? Could this be narrow? Bumps it a little bit. Rolls. Okay, 2 roll out. So now what we have is Rochester 1. Rochester is setting 1, Ardsley's 2 and 3, and now it looks And now, Wayne, the way I'm looking at this shot, and correct me if I'm wrong, you got to the inside of the top red and roll down to the blue, then bump them.
Yeah, that's the only shot that I can certainly see. You have to throw firm weight and catch about an inch of that rock. So you have to throw firm because you're only hitting an inch. It's got to go out and redirect the shooter and go right into the blue, which is going to go right into the red. You're going to hear it first. They're going to be sitting 3 after this shot.
Okay, so this is the last stone, and it's coming down. It's coming down, and she's got to play the looks like an in-turn handle here to try to get that roll. Does she get it? There's the one, and now it rolled over. It rolled over, and that'll be it. Rochester has won, but the final score: Ardsley 8, Rochester 6. The Ardsley Curling Club is the GNCC Mixed Playdown Champions for 2020. They'll be representing the GNCC at the USCA Mixed National Championship, scheduled for March 28th to April 4th in Chaska, Minnesota. And we'll be right back after a brief break to wrap up. Welcome back to the Rochester Curling Club, Rochester, New York. We have the champion of the 2020 GNCC Mixed Playdowns. It is the Casper Rink of Ardsley Curling Club, Ardsley, New York. Danny Casper skipped, Sydney Mullaney third, Eli Clausen second, Susan Dutt lead. They defeated the Rochester Curling Club rink of Caitlin Pulley skip, Jeff Pulley second, Emily Anderson Pinelli second, Jason Scott lead by a final score of 8 to 6. Now the Casper Rink will be representing the GNCC at the USCA Mixed National Playdowns, scheduled for March 28th, April 4th in Chaska, Minnesota. I am Bill Drumright, with thanks to Wayne Anderson for his help in providing commentary on this match. And so the final score: Ardsley Curling Club 8, Rochester Curling Club 6. Ardsley finishes the tournament with a 7-0 record. Pulley Rink finishes 5-2. Thank you for listening and for watching. And from Rochester, New York, Rochester Curling Club, we wish you goodbye.